So welcome into Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to call me, in a good way. I don't care. I've been called everything under the sun, from people who I don't even know. Rat, pig, horse, cow, hippo, rhino, squirrel, what have you. I have no idea what these references mean to them or how much they really know about me. It is human nature to develop beliefs about people. We all have our own life experiences and experience people in certain ways. Of course, if you hang out with me, you would know me a little better. If you haven't and you're believing some sort of lie or myth on the street, then what can I say? It takes a long time to sort of evolve in different directions and be aware that someone was targeted because. So anyway, I am here on day 86 of my one video each day, 365-day fundraising campaign for life robbed, stolen, raped, tortured. Beginning the fourth Monday of January 2011, I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment. And if that weren't enough, the games commenced after that. And this city was chock full, stocked to the brim, to the boiling point, with people who were willing to play some sort of game, don't know what it is, and really crazy stuff. Someone said maybe it was NASA inspired because myself and other people who have been through similar situations, I do think mine was really big and set off in a very specific way, and not to minimize other targets, because I know people experience stuff and I would read about them online and I would feel badly because I can see that it's hard to prove. Instead, the perpetrators will quickly minimize or discount what you're saying by making it seem as if you're paranoid or the whole world isn't against you, or is it? If you're in a certain community and enough people are purposely placed in Philadelphia, where are they now? Don't know. There are some around here, but it's not quite the same. But point being, someone thought maybe some things were NASA inspired because when I said something like, I type into my search engine, say something really crazy like the purple-bellied pig. Walk outside the next day and 30 people have a shirt that say purple-bellied pig. Now, I could have ESP, or can people print shirts up that quickly and get out there to the street right quick to try to creep someone out? So anyway, today, I wanted to talk specifically about extreme rejection and extreme exclusion and isolation, which those things cause isolation. So part of the game, in my case, I was tortured to the point of having no idea where else to turn, where to go. I tried to look for other jobs. I was stuck in dog walking, and there's a very good argument for actually being trapped and human trafficked in a certain type of way, not to minimize people who are human trafficked sexually or what have you, but we won't get into it, but there's lots of arguments for people out there who are sexually human trafficked and their lives can appear somewhat normal. But point being, in my case, I actually believe I was human trafficked through dog walking. But I wanted to bring up today a very specific point of this rejection and this inability to be able to reach out to people to try to develop relationships again, or to find a new network, to maybe find another place to live, to create a whole new life. Whatever this is, it keeps people trapped in that situation so that they cannot develop a whole new life very easily. It was hard enough for me to try to develop a life as it was. I came from Delaware, moved up here because of a job, and it was really hard for me to figure out who to reach out to find friends to trust, maybe because Philadelphia might be a hotbed of activity, teaming with people. And I use the word team on purpose because I'm sick of teams. But anyway, teaming with people who are willing to play this game. It is a very sadistic game. But in my case, it can get worse than seeing people in person. So there are people in person who will reject you on purpose. That is almost, something that it's surmountable. People get past it. But if things happen that enter into the supernatural, like, how is that possible? there would have to be large entities like hospitals, a police system, an entire government participating in order to create that scenario. Or certain franchises and companies that could be part of big criminal rings. Or people willing to crash a zip car so that there are no zip cars available for the day you signed one out and needed to meet up with family. So I'll start with my stories here. I have very specific ones really quick that involve rejection, isolation, and purposeful attempts to make me feel excluded. I don't know the exact reason other than I set out on my own and I tried to distance myself from certain people. More so, it has to do with my upbringing and certain people, say in my step family, and say there were certain communities or people are controlled by a certain entity. So every community has their giants, if you will, or maybe people who sort of handle or manage the way things go. And maybe I didn't like the way things were being handled because I didn't want to be stuck in a subjugated role. Who wants to be stuck in the little role down here while everybody else is boss? No, thank you. I'm the boss of my own life. Thank you. And get that through your head right quick. So the examples that I have today include someone whom I met while serving as a counselor advocate for an agency. I won't even get into the agency because weird things happen there enough where it was like they're doing the opposite of what counselors should do. Like it was that weird, where I actually think the organization I worked for, Women in Transition, is actually fake. It might be different now. It's under a different, new executive director is there. But while I was there, I couldn't believe how people were behaving because it's the opposite. People working in the organization were actually doing the very opposite of what one would expect a counselor to do. I don't know what to say. It is whack. I actually ran away from there and straight into dog walking full time because I was like, that doesn't make any sense that people coming in trying to seek refuge from abusive relationships are actually being technically manipulated and abused by some of the people they're seeing here. Anyway, so someone did sort of somehow intermingle with the group that I was working for at the time. And I really thought she was an awesome person. I was like, I wish I could meet her outside of this work setting. So flash forward a year and a half, I left that workplace and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to figure out if she's around. Is she in Philly? I find her on Facebook. Turns out she had moved to Seattle. Super cool person, super nice, has a personality where it's easy to become friends with her. Like she knows she's a fast friends kind of person. Sometimes that's not sustainable. But in this case, she was actually normal-ish to me at first. And I was like, that's cool. She seems more like me. Like we have similar traits or similar stuff. And it's easy for me to like have fun with her. I like to try to keep things uplifted and have fun. And people would be surprised by that because they didn't know me. But if I'm around certain people, my true self won't come through, either because I don't think they deserve it or because they have a way of dampening people. It's group dynamics. So people are friends with certain people and they have a hard time being friendly or friends with other people. And it could be because there's something bad going on in the air. And my personality is to sort of like kind of shut down or not, it's one reason that I sort of distance myself from people in my upbringing because it's like, I can't be myself. And it doesn't even have to do with sexual orientation or anything like that. It has to do with there are many people who feel oppressed because they're around people who block people. And it's like, how do you figure out how to live a life over here and not be blocked all the time by people who are more mature and treat people with respect and who want to do things that are enjoyable. So anyway, found this person online, and we sort of had this funny thing where we did a mystery science theater and comment while we were on Facebook. We decided to comment to like Teeny Swat or Sweeney Todd. But Sweeney Todd was some sort of movie, and we went back and forth commenting on Facebook. And this is a long time ago. So if anyone were paying attention, they would be like, oh my God, they're doing like mystery science theater via Facebook. And there were a couple comments like, oh my God, this is so cool, blah, blah, blah. And it was fun. So I wound up, I also made plans to visited her. Now, when I got out there, her first comment was, she immediately needed to say, I have you sleeping over here. And I'll, when we get back to my apartment, you'll be sleeping here. But the way she said it felt like rejection, because in a way she was kind of like reeling. She did sort of lay out a carpet there of invitation, if you will. But whatever. So I got over that, but it came across as hurtful. But I was like, okay. Otherwise, I had a really great time. Technically, one of the best times on a vacation, if I ever, I've never really had any vacations, a few growing up, but I never had a good time on some of those vacations because of the company that I was forced to be in, you know. And for some reason, when you're outnumbered by people who do something else and you're like, what? I don't fit in here, but I'm forced to be here. So anyway, I finally enjoyed myself on a seeming little mini vacation. Flash forward to after 2011. When 2011 started and I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment, I would reach out to this person. And on occasion, she was uplifting, but she would do things like, okay, well, call me on this morning. I have so-and-so sleeping over. I met her while on OkCupid during on a dating app or whatever. So she kept inviting or kept putting forth rejection. And that wasn't helping. It's like, I kind of need someone to, I was hoping that someone could help me understand what was going on. So in the end, I decided she was part of whatever this problem was and might have been part of the setup and part of this rejection game. So an exclusion game where you're left out and everybody else is over here having fun, or they're setting it up and creating an illusion that they're having fun. So anyway, the next one would be a holiday situation that was really bizarre. I felt very pressured in 2011 because of all the craziness that was going on and me being scared out of my apartment. I reach out to tons of people who I normally wouldn't have reached out to. I reached out even to step siblings. They have their own life, but somehow I had kept trying to find a way to assert my independence and sort of like not feel oppressed by not always communicating with people who were really propped up during childhood and got, so anyway, but I did reach out to them just in case there would be like an answer, or if I felt better, or what is it? Do they know what it is that started, and blah, 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 and in that process, I did agree to visit my dad and his wife. They're both deceased now, at his wife's son's house, my stepbrother's house, and I forget which holiday it was, but it was a holiday. So we'll say it was Easter or Thanksgiving-ish or what have you. I can't remember the exact holiday. I tried to do it in my brain. I can't remember. What I do know is I signed out a zipcar for the time period that I would go down there. So technically, that's a big time period. I would need like a 5-hour block signed out. You could do it for a whole day, but because it was a holiday, I could only sign out for a block. I couldn't find the whole day one, I think. Doesn't even matter at this point. And the day comes around, and I knew I needed to get back here by a certain time because I was actually dog walking and cat visiting and cat sitting and stuff like that. And I did actually have clients that I was trying to like manage around that time block. And on holidays, I would get very specific people calling, and that's how I earned a living. And I was kind of forced to earn a living that way. So, and you can't really take a break. And, if you were to ask for backup, everybody wants time off on the holidays. So anyway, the day that I am supposed to pick up the zip car, I had checked in on a cat or two. I remember like running back from clients' homes. I was about to jump in the shower, and I get an email from Zipcar, or a phone. Actually, I got a phone call. I got a phone call from Zipcar saying, we wanted to alert you that the car that you had, reserved for today has been in an accident. It is beyond repair. It can't be used, and there are no other cars available in Zipcar today at all. It was a major holiday, and people did use Zipcar a lot, and also the time block that I had probably, limited. If I had only needed a car for an hour or a half hour, there might have been one or two available, maybe. And back then we had a huge population, and people use these things big time. Zipcar has since the pandemic dwindled down its offerings, and I'm wondering where everybody went. But anyway, so I'm feeling bags. It's like I promised my dad I would do this, so then I'm feeling like that. And I know how sometimes my dad and stepmom could think or process, and I would worry that they thought I made it up or lied. because they would know that I kind of didn't want to go down there because I didn't feel comfortable around everyone, and I'm always outnumbered. That kind of, when you're a single person, and I grew up always outnumbered. What can I say? So I worried that they would assume that I was lying because they always thought people were lying to them. And the thing is, people weren't lying as much, but then it became like a reality for them. It's hard to explain. They kind of manifested people wanting to lie to them because they couldn't figure out what to say in order to appease them. But anyway, this actually happened. So I called down there. I get my stepmother, and she's like, oh, I forget who answered first, but somehow I was talking to my stepmother, and she said, oh, well, your dad and David and so forth and so on, they all went to the go-karts. They're out go-karting right now. So I'll let them know. I'm like, and I'm feeling all bad. Like, I promised to go down there. So see how I'm excluded from the go-kart ride? So already, now who arranged for that car to be inoperable? I actually think it was arranged. That is major thuggish, mafia-ish, or severe. So a friend of mine said, look at it like a gift. You wanted to go down for your dad, but you kind of didn't want to have to go down because it's so hard to be around so many people and to feel outnumbered all the time. So maybe it's like a gift. So I tried to look at it like a gift, but I actually was hurting because I didn't want my dad. I felt sorry for my dad because I was afraid he would feel hurt that I wasn't there. See how it all gets to be this like convoluted ball of all this misunderstanding. And I don't want him, I don't want him to start thinking that I'm lying because I don't want to be there. Then he's hurting, and then I'm supposed to feel guilty because I hurt my dad. Do you see what, say they get into a conversation. Do you think she told the truth? Like, what are the odds that no zip car would be available? Because I thought, what are the odds that not a single zip car would be available? And then it would be like, well, let's just say me and my sister, you girls don't treat your dad right. So see how it's all reversed? Technically, dads and moms are supposed to treat their kids right. And it's not supposed to be this guilt trip but all of that is something that I would think about. My dad's going to think that I didn't feel like coming down and just made it up. Because what are the odds that a zip car is not available? But see how that's a convoluted mess. I suffer the most. My dad might have suffered a little bit. That's about it. That is highly illegal. That someone made sure a car was not available at Zipcar and that no cars were available that day. Okay, it was a holiday, but I'm just saying, I was even shocked that not a single other car was available. So moving right along, that's a big deal. And it is a very high level form of creating, oh, you don't want to hang out with us? We'll show you how much power we have. We'll make sure a car is not available. You'll feel bad all day long because I already know other people know how my dad and stepmom thought. You're going to wonder if they think you're lying. They would know all this already. They would already know how much I would suffer over this. So what up? Who caused the zip car to not be available? You want to spend holidays on your own? We'll show you. We'll show you. My reason for not spending holidays with a lot of people was self-preservation. I've always been alone. I kept trying to find people who I fit in with, and I didn't want to be subjugated. So at some point I gave up on holidays and said to myself, well, and also I was dog walking, and dog walking sort of forced me to work on the holidays. So kind of was twofold. I'll just keep working on the holidays and say I'm available. I need the money anyway. But also I'm sort of spared, trying to figure out how to please everyone because I have, people, I have a step family and dad over here. I have a mom over here, people over there, people over here. And aside, my mom I would feel okay with, but she wound up doing holidays with my cousins. And it does become a thing where it's it's very hurtful to see these people, say, with money and doing well. And I'm wondering how they got rewarded in life. And then I'm sitting there trying to make it on my own as a single woman. So all these people have men in place. I'm trying to assert my independence as a single woman. And I get violently beat up invisibly. So I can report that to police. This is so many years later that was either 2011 or 2012. I can't remember. It was either the fall of 2011 or the spring of 2012. I know that somehow my decision to go down there coincided with me deciding to do something totally stupid, which was intern with first person arts. I felt pressured to keep so busy and to keep adding to my resume that I actually signed up to intern with some stupid group called First Person Arts Philadelphia. A waste of time at my age. But people kept me running around in circles, do this, do that, keep adding to your resume, keep trying to network. We're going to scare you to death. We're going to play games on you constantly. And so anyway, it was after the summer of 2011. In 2011, I interned. That is one of the stupidest things that I had to do. Complete waste of time. So, and they, it's not like they brought me into the fold. I still felt excluded and rejected. So trust me, unless they kept me from having to run around doing more dog walks on the street, that would be the only saving grace. But they played games there. I have no respect for them. That's it, period. I don't care. So anyway, I don't know if Philly knows how to not play games. And I want to know who gets money to run organizations. So the next one is, okay, so fast forward to 2018, 19, 20. In 2020, my mom would pass away in in July of 2020, just the day before my cousin's birthday, the cousin that lived in Gainesville, Florida with his wife. Then my dad would pass away on December 2020. He lived further south in Florida in a town called Bradenton. He wound up with coronavirus because the very same stepson of my dad and son of my stepmom convinced them to travel to Delaware for Thanksgiving during the peak of the pandemic. I want to know if the sadism is so bad that they made sure my dad got coronavirus, because I do think symptoms can be put on. I don't mean to minimize the disease, but I've experienced weird things to my body long before coronavirus was even known. And I'm wondering if they can put shortness of breath on, or if they could have a negative, like a false positive on a rapid test, because they actually took the rapid test at the airport. And I find that sadistic. So he passed away on December 2020. The day after, and this is, of course, right at Christmas time. So in time for Christmas and the holiday, my dad passed away. And also right at his wife's birthday. I think her birthday was December 21st. So he passed away the day before her birthday, just like my mom passed away the day before my cousin's birthday. So you start to wonder what's going on. Is someone being super sadistic, or are the said people I just said evil and they're getting a gift for their birthday? Now they would argue, no. But that's what I mean. Somebody evil is making it look a certain way, or there's something going on here, because I've experienced odd behavior from those said people who were still living at the time of these people's deaths. Very odd behavior. So my aunt, then the day after, and this would be technically on my stepmother's birthday. Oh no, I'm sorry, a correction. My stepmother's birthday is the 15th. I get her confused with another old family member from years ago. So sorry about that. My stepmother's birthday was on December 15th. So forget about it. All right, well, I do try to check and balance. I keep trying to check and okay, when is whose? So her birthday is the 15th, but still he passed away 5 days after, whatever. Point being, my aunt would go into the hospital the day after my dad passed away because she was severely asthmatic and her asthma actually acted up the day after my dad passed away. So I don't know if she was stressed because both of my parents had passed away, or I have no idea, or those people up there can cause it. Anyway, she winds up in the hospital for the entire week through past Christmas, and they released her the day after Christmas. Again, another holiday reference. You want to spend the holidays alone and not show up and be subjugated by those who power trip and outnumber you? Or you don't want to get along with thugs and criminals and people who are part of rings, possibly, even though they look innocent? This is higher level than, say, like a drug world. These would be people up here who are part of something that I consider a criminal ring at this point. There are people, even in real estate, who could be part of criminal rings. And they have special homes, especially for their group. And they buy and sell those homes within their own group. They're part of their own currency, per se. It's kind of in that realm. It's sort of like the black market. So you have people who only will buy within the black market. It's like that. And there are a whole bunch of turtles of groups out there. And Sharon decides to assert her independence, and all of a sudden she gets slapped down all over the place. But there is someone sadistic up there who might have thought it was funny that I spent the whole week, sort of in this house while my aunt was in the hospital. Admittedly, it was kind of quiet. I'm so used to spending holidays alone and sort of not having to be subjugated that in a way, it's like a relief. Not in this particular, I'm just saying, like, anyway, we'll keep going forward. And then my aunt did return. There was weird activity, but the whole point on the phone, because it seemed like somebody was able to text through her phone. She was part of a family plan, and I wondered if she was on child controls for this family, because a text came through that she's like, I didn't send that text. And it said, I'm on my way. And I think it meant, and I thought she was coming down to the front of the hospital because I pulled up to pick her up, and the whole thing unfolded there. And it got really weird because I started worrying about who can hack phones or who can actually, I actually don't know. And if I were to ask someone, it becomes a thing where I can't always trust the responses of people, even in phone stores. Like, if I were to put my daughter or senior citizen mom on my iPhone as a family unit system, can I sign into her phone and text through her phone? Because my aunt doesn't recall ever saying, I'm on my way. And it didn't make sense because she would call at this, I'm sort of abbreviating a story, but she would call after that text saying, where are you? And I was like, I just got a text saying you were on your way. I thought you were coming down to the front. I didn't text you. And when I saw her, she finally did come down because they did have an aide bring her down. She didn't look like she would have texted. She was worse for the wear. But see how all of this is to create rejection and exclusion. It's sort of like rubbing it in that Sharon brought something up years ago about wanting to have lunch with her dad without everybody else attached to his hip. Because my sister and I were forced to grow up with visiting our dad, but spending more time with the step family while our dad maybe had to nap or whatever on the couch and watch golf. And it's like, we're here for you, not for them. And it took me till my mid-20s to have the balls. Isn't that sad that I had to wait until my mid-20s, that I finally gathered the courage. It is courage. Actually, it was quite brave and quite scary to be able to try to express something. Hey, I was wondering if we could get together and just the two of us, or my sister and I, like just Cindy and I, can we maybe have, go out to dinner together, just you without, the wife that we've sort of we're forced to be around all these years. And it's not against them. It's more like we just want to spend time with our dad for once without everybody else they're not even related. It's a marriage and somebody else's kids. You would have thought that I committed a major crime by asking this, because all of a sudden everybody's falling ill. It's like the Black Plague all over the place. Drama on full. Cue the music, please. Sharon asked for lunch with her dad. Everybody's falling down the stairs or having to go to the hospital, this, that, and the other, all because Sharon asked if she could have dinner with her dad for once. Just him without everybody else. It would take a long time, but my dad would finally say, we can do, and he would come up here and actually have lunch with me while they visited my stepbrother, and he would make the trip up here. So I was really grateful for that. And I actually was grateful for it, but they would want me to feel great. You better feel grateful that he's doing this for you. That's how they are. That's why I kind of I don't want to be in this place where I'm supposed to feel grateful when you guys are damn lucky you got what you got. Lucky, big time. All luck, no effort. But even then, I didn't get much alone time with my dad because people would make sure that they would call and be annoying on a speakerphone in a car. So see how they have to keep violating the space? These people are violators. And then they try to rub it in that you're excluded from going go-karting. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And they kind of wanted it. It's the worst form of like low-class Italian is the best. Sorry. In my mind, I think of sociopaths and psychopaths, and usually Italians play that role well, like in TV episodes. And it's kind of in that realm. There's a name for this. That's why I was trying to sort of like build up my own self-esteem and confidence and have a life, because I would never have been able to do it in their presence. Never. Because they needed to take top notch, and they needed everybody else to be like kind of ugly, not earning enough money, not this, not that. That's a very extreme and severe situation. So anyway, whatever unleashed upon me in 2011 is also very extreme and severe, and it is in the realm of sadistic, sociopathic, psychopathic behavior. And a whole bunch of people fell in line under this person's ideology or belief system. So all the people and I'm kind of curious why they thought that I was supposed to feel rejected, isolated, and excluded. I wonder if they ever grew up. They're just never going to get it. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.